to Larry and to the organising committee for the opportunity. It is indeed been a while. This is my 8th year, and it has been a real honour. And I guess I must be doing a reasonably good job, or perhaps the committee just haven't quite found the words to tell me it's time to move on. I hope it's the former. And this year I have an additional honour of having a room named after me, a session room. Now I may never leave, it's a warning, but all you people here are witnesses to the fact that Larry doesn't want to change things. That's great. Most years I've come to this conference and left very soon after, but this year I've spent almost 3 months in Europe visiting many of the countries that people here are from. I've learned to say thank you in several languages. Whoever would have thought that after failing French for 3 years in a row at school, that I would become multilingual. And so on behalf of the Scientific Committee, it's my great pleasure to welcome you all here as committee members, presenters and delegates from so many parts of the world. As well as many European countries, we have presentations from Canada, the United States, India, Pakistan, Australia and New Zealand. And I'm very excited this year that some are out there as a colleague of mine from Australia that I have been a co-author with, but I've never actually met. And of course, we Australians and our Kiwi cousins deserve the prize for coming the furthest. The diversity of topics and backgrounds of keynote speakers and presenters will make a very full and interesting event. Coming to this conference reminds me that whatever perspective we come from, whether it's lived experience, as carers, clinicians, managers, educators or researchers, our contribution to mental health services is amazing. While we hopefully love the work that we do, we acknowledge it involves giving so much of ourselves emotionally. This can be draining, sometimes exhausting. While we encourage others to look after their mental health, we often ignore our own advice. We seem to think that we are tough, that we can and must keep going at all costs. There is always someone who needs us, and as dedicated professionals we answer the calls. Many of you will have travelled here by plane, and some of you are probably very well travelled and could just about recite the safety information at the start. And you will all remember, of course, that should the dreaded oxygen mask drop in front of you, you must secure your own mask before helping others. If we become oxygen deprived, we may pass out. To the detriment of those needing help as well as ourselves. We do not question this, it's obvious and logical. Yet when it comes to our work, we do keep helping others until metaphorically we pass out for lack of oxygen. We hear a lot about self-care and how important it is for us. We smile and nod and say yes, but who has the time or energy for self-care after a long, hard day? It seems so much easier to have a couple of good stiff drinks and head to bed than to listen to relaxing music or have a nice hot bath. Don't worry, I'm not suggesting that a couple of drinks is not justified. However, we do need to look after ourselves physically and emotionally as an important part of what we do. Self-care is both a collective and an individual thing. Many people are surprised to hear how common bullying is within the health professions. As our work involves caring, it seems counterintuitive. I suspect many here today are well aware of bullying through observation, first-hand experience, and often both. Bullying is much more than an unpleasant experience. It's traumatic, and its devastating effects can leave targets overwhelmed and extremely distressed. Many lose their love for the work and find themselves constantly looking over their shoulders. Time that would otherwise be spent doing their job and contributing to improved mental health outcomes. What makes this situation particularly difficult is that bullying is often subtle. We all recognise yelling and screaming as bullying, but the less obvious forms can be very hard to recognise and extremely difficult to prove. Subtle bullying includes micromanagement. Is there anyone here who actually likes to be micromanaged? No, I didn't think so. And other things like withholding the information that you need to do your job properly, being excluded, unreasonable workloads and moving goalposts. Most bullying comes from managers, but can also involve peers and even people bullying their managers. I've actually just, and I'm not doing this as a plug, based on my own experiences and those of 12 health professionals who shared their stories with me. The impact on their lives has been enormous. Some gave up the career they otherwise loved, and most felt that they had been changed forever. Unfortunately, I don't have any magic solutions, but the point that I want to make is that we need to become bullying aware. We need to recognise the subtle forms. Importantly, we must care for ourselves and our colleagues who experience bullying. We need to seek psychological and emotional support for ourselves and others. We need to self-care. This is not to suggest we need to toughen up and get over it. The system is wrong and needs to change, and we must do whatever we can to create that change. In the meantime, we need to stay as well as we possibly can and encourage our colleagues to do the same. We have the skills to make enormous differences to people's lives. Let's apply them to our colleagues and to ourselves. Thanks very much for listening. Please enjoy the conference, learn a lot, and by all means, enjoy a couple of drinks. Thank you.